The terrorist attacks of September 11th marked a turning point in U.S. intelligence operations.
The CIA evolved into a war-fighting intel service that built a web of top-secret detention facilities around the world as part of a program to prevent future attacks.
Philip Mudd is back with us, the former director of the CIA's Counterterrorism Center and the FBI's National Security Branch. He's back now to talk about his new book, Black Site: The CIA in the Post-9/11 World.
And Phil, welcome back. And
thank you.
You grew up in South Florida.
Yes, Coral Gables.
Coral Gables, right? How did a Coral Gables kid go from South Florida to the highest ranks of the FBI and the CIA?
Well, I will tell you, but you will not believe this. I graduated with a degree in English literature. For every parent who's got a kid who's got a degree in the humanities, watch this. So my dad called me one day. The guy he sat next to in the Orange Bowl, we had season tickets in the Orange Bowl. The guy who he sat next to said, "The CIA is hiring people." It's in the Wall Street Journal.
At a Miami Dolphins game?
At a Miami Dolphins game. So my dad called me and said, the guy who sits next to me in the Orange Bowl says, you ought to apply to the CIA. I was living in Washington at that time, so I got in my car with my little resume. I was about 4'11", and I drove over to CIA headquarters. And the CIA's security officer at CIA headquarters was like, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "I want a job." 40 years later, that was it.
All right.
Wow.
Orange Bowl.
You'll have to catch us up later on everything in between. Okay, so let's talk about your book. It takes us to the immediate post-9/11 era, where the CIA decided to set up these so-called black sites around the world, which is where people were subjected to enhanced interrogation techniques, which many believe were tantamount to torture.
Yes.
We're talking about waterboarding, stress positions, keeping people in the dark and the cold. Is your book a defense of this policy?
It is not. The reason I wrote it, I'm a runner. I was running one morning about 4 or 5 years ago, and I realized the colleagues that I work with for decades will never tell their story. They'll never talk to you. They'll never talk to the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, the Washington Post. But if I interview them about what happened to us and why they did what they did, which, as you say, is very controversial, I can draw a picture of the post-9/11 world that will never be forgotten. So I thought my responsibility was to talk to my colleagues and tell the story of why the CIA did what we did. It's not a defense. In some cases in the book, it's negative. It's more an explanation about what happened, because I thought otherwise the story would be lost.
Well, what happened at these sites, quite frankly, was heinous. And a lot of people are saying that someone who is being waterboarded or tortured is going to say whatever you want them to say, and that maybe you didn't get as much information given the treatment that they were given. Looking back, was this a grave mistake?
I understand that perspective. Look, people lie whether they're under pressure or whether they're not under pressure. I think the question that we faced was, if you're face to face with the terrorist, the first terrorist we had at CIA, spring of 2002, and that terrorist says, "I don't want to talk again," what do you do? Back in the spring of 2002, the American people would have said, force that person to talk. I can explain to you, if you want to go on for 10 minutes, about how you make them talk, different story. But I think the real question was, going back 17 years ago, if somebody in our custody didn't speak, I think the American people would have said, make them speak. And if that demands waterboarding or sleep deprivation, I think the American people, and if you look at polling, this is correct, the American people would have said, make them talk.
Really?
Do it, yeah.
But don't we have a constitution that guarantees even detainees habeas corpus? I mean, holding people for 5 years without bringing charges, taking them to other countries where these acts were committed, I assume because they wouldn't be allowed to be committed here.
Yes.
How do we justify
I think that is the $10,000 question. Look, the question is not what the CIA did or didn't do. The question is, what do the American people want? In 2002, 2003, I briefed members of Congress. I spoke to them and said, this is what we're doing at CIA facilities, and they said, this is okay. We at the CIA spoke with the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice said, what you're doing overseas, not in the United States, you can't do it here, but overseas complies with U.S. law. I think the real question years later for the American people is to say, look, regardless of whether it worked 17 years ago, was it appropriate? I think Congress since then has said it's not. 17 years ago, their answer was, it's actually okay. It's all a question of where you are in time.
But 17 years ago, did the CIA find itself unprepared for what it was tasked to do.
Oh, absolutely. If you want to sit in a situation after 9/11, sit in a situation like my colleagues. I interviewed 35, 40 people who work with me. These are all my friends. If you want to interview them and say, look, before 9/11, you were collecting information on Russian intelligence. Move slowly. It might not affect an American in Miramar, Florida, or Coral Gables, where I grew up, or Miami. Move slowly. Fast forward, you're going to collect information on September 12th. If you don't collect it quickly, an American might die in New York or Chicago or Los Angeles. The world for us changed overnight, and I think it's hard for Americans to understand what it was like on September 12th versus September 10th. It was like a world of difference.
Yeah, the pressure all of you were under is unimaginable
No,
for
it's okay.
For most of us.
It's okay.
Okay, so I wanted to quickly ask you about the Guantanamo Bay. 15 of the people who were held in black sites around the world are now still in Guantanamo Bay. Is it time to close it, and is it in keeping with our American values?
I think it is time to close it. There are a couple of questions. Look, if you can't, we have said with child pornographers, with people who murder individuals, with people who take a child and abuse a child, we have said in this country, if you can't prove a case, you got to let them go. I personally, and I know I'm the hardcore terrorism guy, would say, if you can't prove a case against a terrorist, our values say you got to let them go. If you want to keep them, you have to look in the face of the American people and say, we can't prove a case against this person, despite our values, despite what we say that we have to try them, we're going to keep them anyway. I think we ought to talk to the American people and say, we're going to try all these people, and for the ones we can't try them because we don't have the evidence, we're going to keep them in violation of our values. Yes, I think we ought to move forward.
Phil, how willing were your former colleagues to talk about this with you?
Boy, man, you guys are killing me. This is hard. Most of them were willing to talk because I work with them. The people I spoke with for my book will never speak to you, but they trust me. I would say, and I'm going to guess, maybe 2 of them, and these are not colleagues, friends, 2 of them said no. Not that they didn't trust me, but we took a vow and we will never speak about this stuff because we're CIA officers. Most people were willing to talk to me not because they wanted to tell you the story, but because they were willing to tell me the story. That's what happened.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you so much. We're out of time. We appreciate you joining us. The book is called Black Site, the CIA in the Post-9/11 World, and you can see Philip Mudd this weekend at the Miami Book Fair. Go to miamibookfair.com for more information. We'll be right back.